Greetings, everybody. We've gathered around the table again today to have our discussion about the Gold Class Crooked River from Benchmade. It is a very, very nice, pretty blade. Well, the knife, or the handle, more so than the blade, as far as the prettiness. But
Well, the blade's pretty though. It's
in comparison, though,
This is true.
yeah, just for the fact that they didn't use Damasteel.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
hippies.
Yep.
They're big fat hippies about the whole
They
thing.
obviously
Yeah.
did, but they didn't do what they should have.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing that cheeses me on the Damasteel stuff is where they did use it, they only used thin slabs because it does have this cool cracked ice steel liner. If this had been one big piece of Damasteel,
Would
The
it be more
entire
impressive?
scale.
and then the steel
Oh,
liner in the back, not the liner, but just this piece here, and cut the liner and make
No,
that.
no,
No, no, it would have
Do it,
been
yeah.
integral.
Do a buck thing.
That would be
make
cool.
Make the entire
100%.
liner and bolster
I would like
Damasteel,
that, yeah.
and then the carbon fiber around.
That would
But
be pretty.
but you didn't do that, so
Yeah.
Well, and
Here we are.
I think the biggest complaint, we're not complaining about what they did here, because the knife itself is a beautiful
oh, it's
knife.
gorgeous. It's
But
yeah.
at the end of the day, we are complaining about the price point that Benchmade decided to sell it at, which
Yeah.
is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, that is definitely one of my biggest complaints personally for the price point is as much as I enjoy 20 CV and everyone around the table does, for the price they're asking for, come on, just put Damasteel in it.
It's not a gold class without a Damasteel
Or-
player,
I
as
know.
far as I'm concerned.
For this price, I want to see Damasteel cladding on either side of a 20 CV core. You're asking me 2K, make it worth 2K.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, though, because they've got all the extra work done on the hardware
Yeah.
itself, that, yes, I agree with this, but that probably means that some of the cracked ice stuff is going to have to go.
I'm totally fine with that. It's a surface finish that honestly,
Yeah,
it's
as am
blingy.
I.
It's blingy as
But-
hell. It's cool, but it's not $2,000.
Yeah.
It's not the thing on this knife that's selling me on this knife.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
For me, the biggest problem is right now, you can go to the custom shop. You can drop less than $400, get a 20 CV blade and carbon fiber handle material. Yeah, you're not going to get the Damasteel bolster, but you're also paying less than a quarter of the price to get it. Like, I'm sorry, but that's a huge disconnect. And I know that they were saying that they've been billing this as this new big gold class release. It's such a high asking price for the return. I have a huge problem with it.
Yeah.
Now, another thought on this particular knife as well is you might be getting up into the market of the guys who just want the classiest knife they'll ever buy to carry. And
Yeah.
you were talking about not carrying it earlier, and before recording, me and Paul were talking about that. And this is almost one of those, with a 20 CB, the high polish, this is one of those ones where guys are just like, no, I want the exclusivity of it all and put that in my pocket.
And that's a pretty small market, and I think that that makes sense as to why they're limiting it to the 500 pieces.
Yep.
Yeah. This is number 374. Yeah. I guess that makes sense to a degree, but at the same time, even understanding that, it is a very tough pill to swallow.
It's a very hard ask for sure.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that as well before recording, is the exclusivity of it all,
Yeah.
being a 500-piece knife. I would give more credibility to this knife if they did like even a run of 250 or 100, or like
Yeah.
Benchmade's done runs of 50
Mhm.
before, and they didn't cost $2,000 for them. Now, 80s and 90s, so they probably were the equivalent.
Yeah, I had to do the conversion rate.
But
Inflation hasn't.
Still,
Anyway.
and-
Yeah.
yeah.
And again, not to say that this knife wasn't well made. It's
Yeah.
using kick-ass materials. The fit and finish is pretty on point. I mean, considering it's a Benchmade, there's a few things that, for me, the biggest thing is the voids in the handle material, and I'm not sure if, well,
Yeah.
They're so small, but
I don't
they're
know if
also
we can show
really
them or
there.
not. Yeah, I mean, half a dozen on either side, and I think it's because they are using this unidirectional carbon
course.
fiber instead of some standard stuff.
which makes sense. But I've seen unidirectional from other companies that hasn't looked like that. That hasn't had those voids.
There's also ways of filling those and like hiding them and stuff like that you can
Wow.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, one really nice note about the fit and finish is because it is a gold class, they generally do a lot of hand finishing on these guys.
Yes.
And one of those things that you can really tell it on is the polish that they put on the edge on this guy compared to the regular production stuff.
You won't believe it's a Benchmade when you look at the sharpened edge on it. Like,
not from what they are known for a factory edge.
even the Anthem, when they came in, they were, you could still see the grit lines from the belt, which is fine, but that's on another level, which is just
100%.
superb to see.
Is it centered? I'd never haven't even looked.
Yeah, and the grind is perfect on it.
Good.
I also looked at this particular one. They were paying attention to the one we got, at least when it came to those ones. Yeah. So one of the other things that we dabbled on earlier was the edge, the finish of it, the grind on it, the centering on it. But I will dabble on the action on it. And you can get it to drop shot, I'm sure, but it's never going to have the same action as things in a comparable category have. Things like the Shiros, the Grimsmos, the Custom Knife Factory stuff.
Yeah.
Even knives in their own category or in their own catalog, the Vidar.
Buttery,
Super smooth.
by comparison.
And for all the other nice little details on the hand finishing that we pointed out earlier, like the nice polished finish and the rounded spine and stuff, just take the couple seconds to polish the washers a little bit too. Like
it's such a small thing, but it's such a big thing when it comes together. Like
it doesn't take much. It's pretty easy to do.
And you're taking so much time to get these little details right elsewhere. I agree. It would be nice to see it done to that degree of fine finish.
But I think inherently, just because the access lock is always putting pressure on the blade, that just from design, I get that, and you're releasing pressure off of the blade to have it, right? But as a natural opening and closing, it's not going to be quite as smooth as anything with a ball bearing frame or bushings like the Vidar had, where it's something like that, right? With frame locks in particular rather than access locks. I'm not saying that you couldn't get this thing nice and polished up and oiled up and get to the point where all you'd have to do is squeeze it and it would drop close, but it's never going to be a Norseman. It's never going to have that just dangle on the blade unless it's about to be...
Unless you like put bearings in it or something. If you didn't like the Anthem and put bearings on it, you'd get a similar kind of action.
Because you can't get that with the Anthem. You can get that.
You definitely have to take all the weight off the lock bar.
So we know Benchmade's capable of it. It's just would have been nice to see here.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I mentioned was the jeweling on the inside. And I'm not talking about the cracked ice finish here, because they do have that along the spine and on the inside. And that, I think, is where they should have stopped it, personally. But they did jewel the inside of the liners with this just steel swirl pattern that they used.
I would have preferred the jeweling on the inside and take the cracked ice off the liners. If I had to trade them out.
Personally, I agree with that as well.
Give them a mere polish.
But my biggest complaint with that is, again, you're adding every little thing that you do to this knife. You're adding a price point, and all of a sudden we get to this price point where everyone's like, whoa, what is this knife and how many people can actually afford it type of thing.
Yeah. That's the situation we're in now with this knife.
Where do you maybe dial it back to maybe appeal to more of the masses? And I think for me personally, the jeweled finish.
There's nothing about this knife that I think is trying to appeal directly to the masses, really.
No.
I mean, other than the looks, the outward appearance.
But I do agree, if we had to axe one thing, my first choice would probably be the jeweling on the inside of the liners. It's not the most complicated thing to do, but it is time consuming.
Yeah.
But it's so pretty.
It is. And it would definitely be an easy way to cut some cost, but now that I've seen it in one gold class, I want to see it in more. I really enjoy the finish.
I would like to see that, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of the cracked ice. I think it's too blingy for me personally, the liners and the backspacers, but the jeweling on the inside, I would like to actually see that on more things.
You know what both actually remind me of is those old Pokemon holo cards where you get the hollow finishes. Yeah.
You're showing your age, Joe.
Yeah, demographic, just trying to say.
Dude,
I know what he's talking
this
about.
is elementary school in the 90s. Everybody was playing that shit. I didn't have money or time for that, but I mean,
elementary
really?
school in the 90s.
That was Pogs.
I was going to say, it's the same finish.
Yeah.
More or
Pogs,
less,
we got on that trade.
It's the same hollow finish, though, and honestly, I'm on the fence as to whether I think it looks classy or cheesy.
Fair.
It's definitely a little glitzy, for sure.
if they just did it on the backspacer, like they did it here, where they did spots of it and then spots where it's not there, I think I would have liked it that much more.
Yeah. There's several tweakings they could have done aesthetically for my own appearance, but I understand what they did
Yeah.
when they released this knife.
I still think seeing it on the pivot collar would be cool as hell.
Yeah.
Just tie the knife together, but still, yeah.
Yeah. The extra cost and all.
Yeah.
I'm not usually one for a coated blade, but I think it actually kind of matches with the carbon fiber and stuff like that. Like it's got a good flow to it.
You know what would match even more? A Devasteel blade. Jesus, come on. Anyway, we haven't
so,
branched
Well, what would you put for the bolster in that knife, though?
I don't know, but now that we've come around full circle to complain about the fact that it's not a Damasteel blade anymore, may as well wrap it up there.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, it is definitely a knife that if you can afford to do so, get it, because it is gorgeous and it is very well made, but for most people, it's not going to be something they can afford.
For what else is on the market,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a tough pill. It's a kick-ass knife, but it's a tough pill.
I'm happy that I got to handle it.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. So yeah, once again, big giant thank out to the Cutting Edge.
It's a
And
thing now.
yep, you all laugh, it's a thing, damn it.
Hashtag thank out.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. So yep, thank you, Cutting Edge, for letting us play with this extremely prestigious fancy.
Thanks for the trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wades sometimes. I'm sure but we haven't failed them yet. So I think they're scared to watch our videos.
They might be.
Are the knives back? Okay, let's just...
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we put any more doubts into their minds, we'll wrap it up here, and we will see you all next week. But this is Nigel the Smith signing off.
I am who I am. I'm Dennis Vipers.
I am the Iron Joe.
And I'm XL.ca.
Catch you again next time.
Bing pot.
We don't need bigger knife. Yeah.